Highest paid lawyer, America, just resigned. Kathy Rumler made millions at Goldman Sachs. She was Obama's White House counsel, and she just quit because the Epstein files exposed her. Not for crimes, for lying. She knew Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted sex offender, and she stayed friends with him anyway. Warm emails, friendly dinners, years of contact, and she hid it. Now the files are public. Goldman Sachs stock is shaking. Obama Democrats are silent, and governments around the world are collapsing over the same files. UK Prime Minister's aides resigned. Norway's crown princess is being questioned, and America's most powerful lawyer just walked away from millions. So let me show you exactly what the files reveal, why she quit, and why Democrats won't say a word about Obama's lawyer being caught. Write this down, because 3 people in power just fell this week, and more are coming. Don't click away. Here's what broke February 12th, 2026. Kathy Rumler announced her resignation as Chief Legal Officer at Goldman Sachs, effective June 30th. She's one of the highest paid lawyers in the entire country, millions per year. She oversees all legal matters for one of the world's biggest banks, and she just gave it up. Why? Because 2 weeks ago, the Justice Department released 3 million pages of Jeffrey Epstein files, and Ruemmler's name appeared repeatedly. Not once, not twice, dozens of times. Emails showing a warm, friendly relationship with a man she knew was a convicted child sex offender. And when CNN and other outlets started reporting on it, she had no choice. She resigned. But wait. Let me tell you who Kathy Rumler is, because this isn't just some random lawyer. From 2011 to 2014, she was the White House counsel for President Barack Obama. The White House counsel is one of the most powerful positions in government. She advised the president on every legal matter, Supreme Court nominations, executive orders, national security, constitutional issues. She had access to everything. She was in the room for the most sensitive decisions. And after she left the White House in 2014, Goldman Sachs hired her. Paid her millions, made her their top lawyer, chief legal officer, one of the most prestigious jobs in corporate America. And now she's walking away from all of it because she can't explain her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Here's what the files show. Newly released email exchanges add fresh details to the relationship between Kathy Ruemmler and Jeffrey Epstein. CNN obtained the emails. They show repeated contact, friendly language, warm exchanges. And here's the critical part. This was after Epstein pleaded guilty in 2008. To soliciting a minor for prostitution, after he became a registered sex offender, after everyone knew what he was, Ruemmler knew, and she maintained the relationship anyway. She met with him. She exchanged emails with him. She was part of his social circle, and she never disclosed this publicly. Not when she was at Goldman Sachs, not when people asked about her connections. She stayed silent until the files came out, and then she couldn't hide anymore. Now let me show you the pattern. Because Ruemmler isn't the only powerful person falling right now. This is happening globally, and it's all because of these Epstein files. In the United Kingdom, Prime Minister Keir Starmer's leadership is being questioned after key aides resigned over Epstein connections revealed in the files. Starmer's own people are walking away because they can't defend their ties to Epstein. The UK government is in crisis. In Norway, Crown Princess Mette-Marit is facing questions about her fitness to someday serve as queen. Why? Because her apparently friendly relationship with Epstein came to light in the files. The Norwegian royal family is being shaken. A future queen's credibility is being questioned. And in America, we have Ruemmler at Goldman Sachs and Howard Lutnick at the Commerce Department, both caught, both exposed, both trying to explain away their connections to a dead pedophile. But here's what makes Ruemmler's case worse. She worked for Obama. She was the White House counsel. She represented the presidency. She advised on ethics. She oversaw legal compliance. And the whole time, she was friendly with Jeffrey Epstein. Did Obama know? Did anyone in the White House know? Because if they did, that's a massive scandal. The White House counsel maintains a relationship with a convicted sex offender while advising the president. And if they didn't know, that means Ruemmler hid it from her bosses. Either way, she's compromised. Either way, her credibility is destroyed. And look at how Goldman Sachs is handling this. They're trying to minimize. Rumler released a statement. She said, "Since I joined Goldman Sachs 6 years ago, it has been my privilege to help oversee the firm's legal, reputational, and regulatory matters, to enhance our strong risk management processes, and to ensure that we live by our core value of integrity in everything we do. My responsibility is to put Goldman Sachs's interests first. Earlier today, I regretfully informed David Solomon of my intention to step down as Chief Legal Officer and General Counsel of Goldman Sachs as of June 30th, 2026. You see what she's doing? She's making it sound voluntary. She's talking about integrity and putting Goldman first, but she's not mentioning Epstein. She's not explaining the emails. She's not apologizing for the relationship. She's just walking away quietly, hoping it goes away. But it won't go away, because the files are public. Anyone can read them. Journalists are going through every page, and what they're finding is damning. Rumler wasn't just casually acquainted with Epstein. She was part of his network. She knew him well enough to exchange warm, friendly emails. She knew him well enough to stay in contact for years, and she knew what he was. Everyone knew what he was after 2008. The guilty plea was public. The sex offender registry was public. There was no excuse for not knowing, and she chose to maintain the relationship anyway. Now, let me ask you something. If you were the chief legal officer at Goldman Sachs and you had a friendly relationship with a convicted sex offender, wouldn't that be a conflict of interest? Wouldn't that compromise your ability to oversee legal and reputational matters, because that's literally her job? She's supposed to protect Goldman Sachs's reputation. She's supposed to ensure integrity. But how can you do that when you're hiding your own connection to one of the most notorious criminals in modern history? You can't. And that's why she's resigning. Not because she wants to, because she has to, because Goldman can't afford to have their top lawyer associated with Jeffrey Epstein. But wait, here's what nobody's talking about. Where are the Democrats? Rumler was Obama's White House counsel. She's a Democrat. She worked at the highest levels of Democratic politics. And now she's caught in the Epstein files. But Democratic leaders are silent. No statements, no condemnation, no calls for accountability. Compare that to how they're treating Howard Lutnick. Lutnick is Trump's Commerce Secretary, also caught in the Epstein files. And Democrats are demanding his resignation. They're holding hearings. They're issuing statements. They're all over the media. But with Rumler, silence. Why? Because she's one of theirs. Because she worked for Obama. Because admitting she's compromised means admitting the Obama White House might have had an Epstein problem too. And think about the timeline. Ruemmler was White House counsel from 2011 to 2014. Epstein was a convicted sex offender during that entire time. So if she was friendly with Epstein during her White House years, that's a huge scandal. The president's top lawyer is socializing with a pedophile. And if she became friendly with him after leaving the White House, that's also bad, because it shows she didn't care about his crimes. She was willing to overlook them for access to his wealth and connections. Either way, she's guilty of terrible judgment at best and complicity at worst. Here's what the files reveal about Epstein's network. He didn't just prey on victims, he cultivated relationships with powerful people, politicians, lawyers, executives, celebrities. He used his wealth to gain access, and he used that access for leverage. Everyone in his circle knew what he was doing. The victims have said so, the evidence shows it, and yet these powerful people stayed connected to him. Why? Because he had money, because he had influence, because he could open doors, and they were willing to ignore the crimes as long as they benefited from the relationship. Kathy Ruemmler benefited. She left the White House and immediately got one of the highest-paying legal jobs in America. Goldman Sachs doesn't hire just anyone. They hire people with connections, people with access, people who can navigate power. And Ruemmler had all of that, plus her connection to Epstein's network. Did that help her get the Goldman job? We don't know. But it's worth asking, because if Epstein facilitated that connection in any way, that makes her resignation even more significant. It means she wasn't just friendly with a sex offender, she potentially benefited professionally from that friendship. Now, let me show you the global impact, because this isn't just about Ruemmler. This is about a worldwide reckoning. The Epstein files are bringing down powerful people on multiple continents. In the UK, Keir Starmer became Prime Minister in 2024. He campaigned on integrity and transparency, and now his administration is being rocked by Epstein revelations. His aides are resigning, his credibility is being questioned, and he's struggling to contain the damage. In Norway, Crown Princess Mette-Marit is married to the heir to the throne. When her husband becomes king, she'll become queen. But now Norwegians are asking if someone with ties to Jeffrey Epstein is fit to be queen. The monarchy's reputation is at stake, and all because of emails and meetings that people thought would stay hidden forever. And in America, we're seeing the same thing. Howard Lutnick admitted to visiting Epstein's island with his kids. Kathy Ruemmler is resigning over friendly emails. And Trump and the Democrats are both scrambling. Trump is defending Lutnick because Lutnick is loyal. Democrats are silent on Ruemmler because she's one of theirs. And the American people are watching it all unfold in real time, seeing that the elite protect their own, seeing that accountability only applies to political opponents, seeing that truth matters less than tribal loyalty. Let me tell you what this means for Goldman Sachs. Their chief legal officer just resigned in disgrace. The person responsible for protecting their reputation is leaving because her own reputation is destroyed. That sends a message to investors, to clients, to regulators. It says Goldman didn't properly vet their top lawyer. It says they hired someone with compromising connections, and now they're dealing with the fallout. Stock prices react to this kind of news. Confidence wavers. Competitors sense weakness. This isn't just a personnel change. This is a crisis. And here's what bothers me most. Ruemmler's resignation statement talks about integrity. She says Goldman lives by a core value of integrity in everything we do. But where was the integrity when she was emailing Jeffrey Epstein? Where was the integrity when she maintained a friendship with a convicted sex offender? Where was the integrity when she hid those connections from the public? You can't lecture about integrity while covering up your own ethical failures. And that's exactly what she did. She projected an image of ethical leadership while secretly maintaining ties to one of the most immoral men in modern history. But wait, let me give you another detail that makes this worse. The files show Epstein had connections to hundreds of powerful people: politicians, CEOs, academics, scientists, lawyers. And the common thread is this: he offered them something: access to his wealth, invitations to his parties, connections to other powerful people. And in exchange, they gave him legitimacy. They normalized him. They allowed him to move in elite circles even after his conviction. Kathy Ruemmler was part of that. She gave him legitimacy by maintaining contact. She signaled to others that it was okay to associate with him, and that enabled him to continue his crimes. Now let me ask you this. Do you think Ruemmler should face more consequences than just resignation? Should there be investigations into what she knew and when she knew it? Should Goldman Sachs face scrutiny for hiring someone with these connections? Drop your answer in the comments right now, because I want to know where you stand. Do you think resignation is enough, or do you think powerful people like Ruemmler need to be held to a higher standard? Be specific. Tell me what accountability should look like. Because this is happening over and over. Powerful people get caught. They resign quietly. They walk away with millions, and nothing really changes. And here's the pattern you need to see. Write this down. 3 major resignations or calls for resignation this week alone. Howard Lutnick facing bipartisan calls to resign as Commerce Secretary. Kathy Ruemmler resigning as Goldman Sachs CLO. UK Prime Minister's aides resigning over Epstein connections. All in the same week, all because of the same files. All because people thought their secrets would stay hidden. But the files came out. And now they're all scrambling. Now they're all trying to control the damage. Now they're all hoping this blows over before more comes out. But more is coming, because journalists are still going through the files. Lawmakers are still reading the unredacted versions. Victims are still coming forward with their stories. And every day there are new revelations, new connections, new powerful people being exposed. So if you think this ends with Ruemmler and Lutnick, you're wrong. This is just the beginning. There are more names in those files, more emails, more meetings, more evidence of powerful people enabling a monster. And think about what this says about our institutions. Goldman Sachs is supposed to have the best compliance systems in the world. They're supposed to vet their executives thoroughly. They're supposed to avoid reputational risks. But they hired someone who was friendly with Jeffrey Epstein and didn't catch it. Or worse, they caught it and didn't care. Either way, it's a failure. Either way, it shows that even the most prestigious institutions prioritize connections over ethics. Here's my final question. If Kathy Ruemmler, one of the highest paid lawyers in America, can resign over Epstein and just walk away quietly with no real consequences, what message does that send? Does it send the message that if you're powerful enough, you can survive anything, that you can maintain friendships with sex offenders and just resign when you get caught, that there's no real accountability for the elite? I think that's exactly the message it sends, and I think that's why people are so angry. So let me tell you what you need to do. If you think this resignation matters, if you think people need to know that Obama's former White House counsel just quit over Epstein, share this video right now, post it everywhere, send it to your friends, send it to your family. Because mainstream media is covering this, but they're not connecting it to the larger pattern. They're not showing that this is a global elite protecting each other. They're not explaining that Democrats are silent on Ruemmler while attacking Lutnick. They're not telling the full story, so we have to share this video, subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, because when the next name drops from the Epstein files, and it will, We'll be here breaking it down. We'll show you the connections. We'll expose the hypocrisy. We'll demand accountability. And we won't let them get away with just resigning quietly and moving on. Drop a comment. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you think Rumler should face more consequences. Tell me if you think Goldman Sachs should be investigated. And tell me if you think Democrats are hypocrites for staying silent on this while attacking Trump's cabinet. Be honest, be specific, and let's hold these people accountable together. I'll see you in the next one.